let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
That fucking students, young, emerging leaders watching and listening
let's
tonight.
turn this up.
It is the hope that we will feel empowered to make our voices heard and our presence known. And the hope that we recognize the power and potential we have to act, to make a significant difference in our communities. But it also...
OBS.
We are the future, yes. We are also the present, and present we will be. This election may be the first involvement in the nation's political process for many
Testing.
students.
Let me pull my microphone
We have
right
emphasized
here.
how very important it is
That's good.
to be a part of an
Too loud.
informed,
Way too
involved
loud.
citizenry.
Okay, there we go.
Ayana offered this message from students here at the U to students listening from around the world. I want students worldwide to know that partaking in election processes is indispensable, as we are all citizens of humankind, and our chief role as such is to tailor the world to be more ethical than the one we grew up in. In order to avoid complicity in governmental injustice, it is our responsibility to vote for just outcomes within our own respective structures.
That is why I'm not voting for Joe Biden.
From all of us at the University of Utah, our very best wishes to Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris this evening. And my deepest appreciation to all who helped plan and prepare for tonight.
I was just sucking on a tube. There was nothing coming out of that tube.
And the Commission on Presidential
My house is
Debates.
currently on fire.
Thank you
That's
all,
what this smoke
and
is.
Again, warmest welcome to the University of Utah.
I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. This is a family show, folks. Who is she? Why are they focusing on her so much? I guess still 9 minutes until it officially starts. Who is that? Like Debbie Wasserman Schultz or something? Let me see. No. Let me see. Near Tandon.
Please welcome the first print journalist.
That might be near Tandon. I don't know. I'm pretty sure. Wouldn't surprise me.
Chief of USA Today, Susan Page.
Hey, welcome. And congratulations, you have scored the most exclusive tickets in the United States. Hamilton has nothing on the Commission on Presidential Debates.
Hamilton, my favorite musical.
I want to offer a special welcome to Vice President Pence's family, I think is there, and to Senator Kamala Harris's family on this side, and most especially to my bosses, who are seated right up there. And I'm very glad that they came and joined us. My boss.
That doesn't look like 6 feet to me.
From Gannett. We're glad that you're here, but this debate is not about you, and it's not about me. It's about the millions of Americans who are going to be watching it. And that's why I'm going to ask you for your help. I'm going to ask you for your silence. I'm going to ask you during the debate not to cheer or to boo or to hiss or to laugh, because that is distracting for the people.
Why is there an audience then? Why, if you're asking people not to react to your debate, why are you risking having an audience? That's the entire point of an audience.
That'll be a time to applaud, and then applaud again at the very end of the debate. But if you could keep restrain your enthusiasm between those.
That guy is like,
And if you could send me
why did I
a
come
gift
here
card,
then?
that would also be appreciated, but quietly. I'm going
Why
now
are they here?
to
What are you doing then?
and turn my back to
This
you, but not in a
sucks.
rude way, and I'll see you on the other side. Thanks again for being here.
Those fucking bullshit plexiglass shields. They just did the bare minimum. They're just these little archways made of plexiglass. Like, that's gonna block anything after like a 2-hour debate. Like, I can't believe how stupid. That's so stupid. Like, you could have so easily just set them up in different, like, office rooms with a camera facing them. And be like, do the debate over, like, live stream. Like, come on. It just does not need to be in person. Especially if the audience isn't allowed to react with whatsoever unless the audience gets the applause light. It's so dumb. Hey, 420. Yeah, but just think about it. It's like the bare minimum we can do to protect people. Like, they're going to be speaking non-stop for like 2 hours. Like, you don't think any, like, microparticles are going to go around that fucking shield? Like, especially since Mike Pence has been around Donald Trump since he's tested positive. Like, I mean, it's good metaphor for America's a response to the COVID. Like, that's what we did. We put the smallest plexiglass barrier between two people that we ever possibly could. I mean, like, you're already halfway there. You're having them sit down for the debate. I don't think I've ever seen a sit-down debate before. Like, you could easily just put these in, like, just 2 empty offices. You'd put those desks in 2 empty offices, and you got no problem. And if you want to, just have people zoom in for the audience. Don't drag people out here. Ask them not to respond positively or negatively to the debate whatsoever unless they get a signal from the light that says applause and applause only. Like, good God, this just shows like how fake American politics is. It's just all just pre-orchestrated. You only allow the people you want in the audience. You tell them not to react whatsoever unless it's when we tell you to. Just fuck. because the counter's gone away. How long until it starts? Come on. At least mic up the guy that's asking questions, please. It sounds like a heated argument going on. I'd really love for that guy to be mic'd up. Is that coming from backstage? Leaning in so I can see see what people are saying better. Okay, it's the audience. It's not coming from backstage. Never mind.
Good evening.
Good
From the
evening.
University of Utah in Salt Lake City, welcome to the first and only vice presidential debate of 2020.
She's doing some sort
Sponsored
of
by the
Illuminati
Nonpartisan Commission
hand
on
signal.
Presidential debates. I'm Susan Page of USA Today. It is my honor to moderate this debate, an important part of our democracy. In Kingsbury Hall tonight, we have a small and socially distant audience, and we've taken extra precautions during this pandemic. Among other things, everyone in the audience is required to wear a face mask, and the candidates will be seated 12 feet apart. The audience is enthusiastic about their candidates, but they've agreed to express that enthusiasm only twice, at the end of the debate and now.
That sucks so bad.
Please welcome California Senator
Send them
Kamala
home.
Harris and Vice
For
President
fuck's
Mike
sake, that sucks. Oh, Jesus Christ. Boo, 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 boo. Whoa! Boo! Coppin' homophobe, coppin' homophobe, boo!
Senator Harris and Vice President Pence, thank you for being here. We're meeting as President Trump and the First Lady continue to undergo treatment in Washington after testing positive for COVID-19. We send our thoughts and prayers to them for their rapid and complete recovery and for the recovery of everyone afflicted by the coronavirus. The two campaigns and the Commission on Presidential Debates have agreed to the ground rules for tonight. I'm here to enforce them on behalf of the millions of Americans who are watching. One note, no one in either campaign or at the Commission or anywhere else has been told in advance what topics I'll raise or what questions I'll
Mike
ask.
Pence is going to do a fake cry
This
about
90-minute
babies.
debate will be divided into 9 segments of about 10 minutes each.
Okay, maybe not completely guaranteed, but I guarantee like 85%.
Sometimes the same question, sometimes a different question on the same topic. You will then have 2 minutes to answer without interruption by me or the other candidate. Then we'll take 6 minutes or so to discuss the issue. At that point, although there will always be more to say, we'll move on to the next topic. We
7.
want a debate that is lively.
That's number one.
Americans
Kamala's
also
like,
deserve a discussion that is
42.
time.
That's number
Can
one.
and will have a respectful exchange about the big issues facing our
That's
people.
number one.
Let's begin with the ongoing pandemic that has cost our country so much. Senator Harris, the coronavirus is not under control. Over the past week, Johns Hopkins reports that 39 states have had more COVID cases over the past 7 days than in the week before. 9 states have set new records. Even if a vaccine is released soon, the next administration will face hard choices. What would a Biden administration do in January and February that a Trump administration wouldn't do? Would you impose new lockdowns for businesses and schools and hotspots? A federal mandate to wear masks? You have 2 minutes to respond without interruption.
Thank you, Susan. Well, the American people have witnessed what is the greatest failure of any presidential administration in the history of our country. And here are the facts. 210,000 dead people in our country in just the last several months. Over 7 million people who have contracted this disease.
He's praying.
1 in 5 businesses closed.
He's going to do a spirit bomb.
We're looking at
He's going to tap into his
workers
Jesus
who have been
energy and be
treated
like
we are looking at over 30 million people who in the last several months had to file for unemployment. And here's the thing. On January 28th,
Oh, Mike Pence with the
the
Illuminati
Vice
hand
President and the
signals.
President were informed about the nature of this pandemic. They were informed that it's lethal in consequence, that it is airborne.
I wonder what he's
that it
what
will
he's
affect
writing. It's
young
just
people,
scribbles. He's just
and that
scribbling on a
it
paper.
would be contracted because it is airborne. And they knew what was happening, and they didn't tell you. Can you imagine if you knew on January 28th, as opposed
Scribble,
to March
scribble,
13th,
scribble, scribble.
what they knew, what you might have done?
Scribble. What is he writing?
They knew, and they covered it up. The president said it was a hoax. They minimized the seriousness of it. The president said, you're on
He's
one
doing
side
the
of his
Tucker
ledger if you wear a
Carlson
mask,
face,
You're on the
just-
other side of his ledger if you don't. And in spite of all of that, today they still don't have a plan. They still don't have a plan. Well, Joe Biden does. And our plan is about what we need to do around a national strategy for contact tracing.
I
for
wanted to
testing,
do the
for
Walter White
administration of
face.
the vaccine, and making sure that it will be free for all. That is the plan that Joe Biden has and that I have, knowing that we have to get a hold of what has been going on, and we need to save our country. And Joe Biden is the best leader to do that, and frankly, this administration has forfeited
Thank you,
their
Senator.
right to re-election based on this.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Vice President Pence, more than 210,000 Americans have died of COVID-19 since February. The U.S. death toll as a percentage of our population is higher than that of almost every other wealthy nation on earth. For instance, our death rate is 2.5 times that of Canada next door. You head the administration's coronavirus task force. Why is the U.S. death toll as a percentage of our population higher
Well,
than
when you
that
think
of
about
almost
it,
every other
they all
wealthy
went to heaven.
And you have 2 minutes
Those are
to
the
respond
rules.
without interruption.
Jesus.
Susan, thank you. And I want to thank the Commission and the University of Utah for hosting this event. And Senator Harris, it's a privilege to be on the stage with you. Our nation has gone through a very challenging time this year.
Answer the question.
But I want the American people to know that from the very first
Answer the
day,
question.
President Donald Trump has put the health of America first.
Answer the
Before there were more than
question.
5 cases in the United States, all people who had returned from China.
Oh no, he's
President
talking
Donald Trump
about
knew that no other
China.
American
Answer the
president had
question.
And that was he suspended all travel from China, the second largest economy in the world.
Italy also had a giant outbreak, but he didn't restrict travel from
He
Italy.
said it was xenophobic and hysterical.
And it was an unrelated tweet from Joe Biden who he was calling Trump xenophobic, but it was not tied to him blocking travel from China. It was just on the
And I
same
believe
day.
it saved hundreds of thousands of American lives. Because with that
You
time,
didn't
we were able to
block
reinvent
travel
more
from
than 150
Italy, you
million
fucking
tests
liar.
to date. We were able to see to the delivery of billions of supplies so our doctors and nurses had the resources support they needed. And we began, really, before the month of February was out, to develop a vaccine and to develop medicines and therapeutics that have been saving lives all along the way. And under President Trump's leadership, Operation Warp Speed, we believe we'll have literally tens of millions of doses of a vaccine before.
I
the
do
end of
not
this
trust
year.
something called
The reality
Operation
is, when
Warp
you look at the
Speed,
Biden
honestly.
plan, it reads an awful lot. Like what
Operation
President Trump and I
really
and our
fucking
task force have
fast.
been doing every step
How
of the
about
way.
Warp Speed, Mr.
Quite
President?
frankly, when I look at their plan that talks about advancing testing, creating new PPE, developing a vaccine,
And
It's a little
honestly,
bit like plagiarism.
I'm
Son of
gay.
Joe Biden knows a little bit
I've
about.
realized that I'm
I
gay.
think the American people know.
I like to have gay
this is
sex.
a president who has put the
Thank you,
health
Vice
of
President.
America
With the
first and
president.
American people, I believe with my heart.
And I'm in love with
Proud of
Donald
the
Trump.
sacrifices they have made.
I love
to save
having
Thank you,
countless
Vice
American lives.
gay sex with
Senator
Donald
Harris,
Trump.
Would you like to respond?
Absolutely. Whatever the vice president is claiming.
I'm sorry.
has
I'm
been
sorry.
done, clearly, it hasn't worked. When you're looking at over 220,000 dead
Hello
bodies
and welcome
in
to
our
Come
country,
Down.
American
Okay, I need
lives
another
that
beer.
have been lost, families that are grieving that loss. And you know, the vice president is the head of the task force and knew on January 28th how serious this was. And then thanks to Bob Woodward, we learned that they knew about it. And then when that was exposed, the vice president said, when asked, well, why didn't y'all tell anybody? He said, because the president wanted people to remain calm.
Well, let's get
So
about-
but Susan, this is important.
Susan,
I want to add, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
I have to
I'm
weigh
speaking.
Yeah, you
So
can have
I
15 more
wanna-
seconds, and then we'll give the Vice President
Thank
a
you.
chance to
So I want to ask the American people, how calm were you when you were panicked about where you're going to get your next roll of toilet paper? How calm were you when your kids were sent home from school and you didn't know when they could go back? How calm
Thank
were
you.
you
Thank
when
you,
your
Senator
children
Harris.
couldn't see your parents because you were afraid they could kill them?
Let's give Vice President Pence a chance to respond. Vice President
She
Pence.
doesn't even know how long she has to speak. Oh, she's so bad.
Lost a loved one.
This is how she's
I
gonna
want all of
lose
you to know
lose
that
the
you'll always be
debate.
in my heart.
She talks
prayers.
way too like she puts too much
But when you say
emphasis
that the
on
American
words,
people have done
so
over these
her
last
way
8
of
months
speaking
hasn't
is gonna
been
make her get cut off
It's a great disservice.
for like every answer she
The
gets.
sacrifices the
She's like,
American people
we must
The reality, if I may
do
finish this,
something about
reality
the
is, Dr. Fauci
problem.
everything that he told
And
the
Mike
president
Pence
in
is
the
like,
Oval Office, the
I'm
president
gay.
told the American people.
I'm Mike Pence and I'm gay.
Now, President Trump, I will
And
tell you,
it's
has boundless
nothing wrong
confidence
with
in the
being
American
gay.
people, and
I
he always
electroshock
spoke with
myself
confidence that we
daily.
get through this together.
That's what I gotta
When you
do.
say it
Because
hasn't
I'm gay.
worked, when
I'm
Dr.
Mike Pence and I'm
Fauci
gay.
Dr. Birx and our medical experts came
I'm
to
sorry.
us in the
I'm
summer,
sorry.
they said if the president didn't take the unprecedented step of shutting down roughly half of the American economy, that we could lose 2.2 million Americans. But that's the reality.
Thank you.
They also
Thank you,
said
Vice
to us if
President
we did
Pence.
everything right, Susan, we could still lose more than 200,000 Americans.
Vice
Now,
President
one
Pence.
life lost.
We
is
already
not
have
enough.
lost more than 200,000
The
Americans, you
people, I believe,
dumbass.
deserve credit for the sacrifices that they have made, putting the health of their family and their neighbors first, our doctors, our nurses, our first
Thank you, Vice
responders.
President Pence.
And I'm going to speak up on behalf of what the American people have done.
Vice President Pence, you were in the front row in a Rose Garden event 11 days ago at what seems to have been a super spreader event for senior administration and congressional officials. No social distancing.
Imagine if
Few
someone
masks,
had
and now
like
a
saved
cluster of
this and
coronavirus
traveled back
cases
in
among
time
those
and
who were
posted
there.
this on Twitter and you
How can
watched
you
it.
expect Americans to
You would have
follow
no
the
idea what was
administration's
going on.
safety guidelines to protect
Super
themselves
spreader
from COVID
event,
when you at the White House have
COVID.
not been doing so?
You would be like, what the fuck happened?
Well, the
What is
American
this
people
video?
have demonstrated over the last 8 months that when given the facts, they're willing to put the health of their families and their neighbors and people they don't even know first. President Trump and I have great confidence in the American people
President Trump and I
and their ability
took our dicks
to
out,
take that information
put them up next
and
to
put
each
it into
other,
practice. In the height of the
and we held hands,
when we
grabbing
were
each other's
losing
dicks at the same time.
a heartbreaking number of
And we jacked him off
2,500
until we
Americans
came
a
on
day.
each other's
We surged
mons
resources
pubis.
to New Jersey and New York and New
And then we
Orleans
cuddled
and
for the
Detroit.
rest
We
of the
told
night.
The American people what needed to be done, and the American
I'm Mike
people
Pence
made
and
the
I'm gay.
sacrifices. When the outbreak in the Sun Belt happened this summer, again, Americans stepped forward. But the reality is the work of the President of the United States goes on. A vacancy on the Supreme Court of the United States has come upon us, and the President introduced Judge Amy Coney
Yes,
Barrett.
thank you, Vice
But
President
at
Pence.
that, if I may say, that Rose Garden event, there's been a great deal of speculation about it. My wife Karen and I were there and honored to be there. Many of the people who
Mother,
were at that event, Susan, actually were tested
Yes.
for
Mother
coronavirus.
Karen.
And it was an outdoor event, which all of our scientists regularly and routinely advise. The difference here is President Trump and I trust the American people to make choices in the best interest of their health.
I
Joe Biden,
choose not to get the
Kamala Harris
coronavirus.
consistently talk
So I
about
don't need to wear a
mandates, and
mask.
Not just mandates with the coronavirus, but a government takeover of health care,
Thank you,
the
Vice
Green New
President.
Deal.
Oh,
all
shut
government
up.
control. We're about freedom and respecting the freedom of the
Cut him off! Cut him off!
Respecting the
That
American
has nothing to do with the
You
question.
respect the American people when you tell them the truth. You respect the American people when you have the courage
Which we've
to be a
always
leader.
done.
Notice
speaking
how
of
she's
those
not
things
defending
that
the
you
Green
may
New
not
Deal.
want people to hear, but they need to hear so they can protect themselves. But this administration stood on information that if you had as a
I mean,
parent,
she still has a chance to
if
do
you
it,
had as a worker
but
knowing you didn't have
I
enough
doubt she
money
will.
saved up, and now you're standing in a food line because of the ineptitude of an administration that was unwilling to speak the truth to the American people. So let's talk about caring about the American
Oh,
people.
she's
The
still
American
slow
people have
talking.
sacrificed far too much
This is gonna be the
because
end of
the
her.
incompetence of this
She's gonna
administration.
get cut
It is
off,
asking
and she's
too
gonna
much of the
back
people.
down when they tell
No,
her
Vice
It is
President,
out
asking
of
too
time.
much of the people.
Let-
That they would not be equipped with the information they need to help themselves to protect
Susan,
their parents
President-
and
No,
their
I'm sorry.
children.
Kamala Harris, Senator Harris, I'm sorry.
That's
I meant
fine,
to
I'm
say-
Kamala.
No, you're Senator Harris to me. For life to get back to normal, Dr. Anthony Fauci and other experts say that most of the people who can be vaccinated need to be vaccinated. But half of Americans now say they wouldn't take a vaccine if it was released now. If the Trump administration approves a vaccine before or after the election, should Americans take it, and would you take it?
If the public health professionals, if Dr. Fauci, if the doctors tell us that we should take it, I'll be the first in line to take it, absolutely. But if Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
Oh,
Vice
that's
President
not
Pence, there's
that's
been a lot
not a
of
good
recommendations
answer right
from this
there.
pandemic.
Ooh.
In recent days, the
Ooh.
president's diagnosis of
That's
COVID-19 has underscored the
dipping your toes in the
importance of the
anti-vax
job
shit
that
right
you
there.
hold and that you are seeking. That's our second.
It's
topic
not like
tonight.
Trump
It's the
developed the
role of the
vaccine.
Vice
He
President.
just ordered to be brushed.
One of you
I
will
mean-
make history on January 20th. You will be
that's
the
not
Vice
good. That
President
is
to the
not good.
oldest president the United States has ever had. Donald Trump will be 74 years old on Inauguration Day. Joe Biden will be 78 years old. That already has raised concerns among some voters, concerns that have been sharpened by President Trump's hospitalization in recent days. Vice President Pence, have you had a conversation or reached an agreement with President Trump about safeguards or procedures when it comes to the issue of presidential disability? And if not, do you think you should? You have 2 minutes without interruption.
Well, Susan, thank you, although I would like to go back.
I think we need to move on
well,
to the
thank
issue
you,
of
but I would like to
vice
go back
presidency.
because
Oh,
the
he's
reality
just
is that we're going to have a vaccine
what the fuck? He's just
in
like, I
record
won't
time,
answer that.
in
I want to go back to the
unheard of
last
time, in
question.
Less than a year. We have 5 companies in phase 3 clinical trials, and we're right now producing tens of millions of doses.
Ooh, he's gonna nail her on the
The
anti-vax
fact
shit.
that you continue to undermine public confidence in a vaccine.
Oh
if a
shit!
vaccine
There he goes!
emerges
Oh
during the
Jesus
COVID
Christ!
I think is
She got owned.
is
Oh
unconscionable.
fuck!
And Senator, I just ask you, stop playing politics with people's lives. The reality is that we will have a vaccine, we believe, before the end of this year. And it will have the capacity to save countless
Honestly,
American
like
lives.
that's a ballsy move.
Your
Just like I'm
continuous
gonna
undermining
nail you on the
of
anti-vax shit you
confidence
just
in the
said.
vaccine is just it's just unacceptable. And let me also say, you know, the reality is when you talk about failure in this administration,
She is so bad.
we actually do know what failure
She
looks
has
like. In a
no idea what she's doing.
It was 2009. The swine flu arrived in the United States.
Oh, he's
Thankfully,
just
it was-
he,
ended up not
he's
being
gonna
as
pull
lethal
all over. This
as
is a
the
major
coronavirus.
hit.
But
She's
before
on the
end of the
defensive
year,
now, and we'll see how
when Joe
Pence
Biden was
does
Vice
this.
President of the United States, not 7.5 million people contracted the swine flu. 60 million Americans contracted the swine flu. If the swine flu had been as lethal
They're
as
just
the
letting him
coronavirus,
talk.
in 2009, when Joe Biden was vice president, we would have lost 2 million American lives. His own chief of staff, Ron Klain, would say last year that it was pure luck that they did, quote, everything possible wrong. And
I
we
hate
learned
how
from that.
Kamala does the
They left
smile
the
thing.
strategic
It's like
national stockpile empty. They left.
he's
an
like
empty
10%
and hollow
right.
plant,
He's
but
nailing you
we
on
still learn
anti-vax
from it,
shit.
and I
You
think
left
that's
yourself
what
wide
people
open.
see again,
Why
can
did
be
you
proud
say
of
that?
I'm sorry.
what
You
we
had
have done. And
months
Senator,
to prepare
please
for this
stop
shit.
undermining confidence in a vaccine.
Senator Harris, let me ask you the same question that I
I
asked
hate the smile. It's like
which is, have you had a conversation or or reached an agreement with Vice
It was a
President Biden
debate!
about safeguards or procedures when it comes to the issue of presidential disability? And if not, and if you win the election next month, do you think you should? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
So let me tell you, first of all, the day I got the call from Joe Biden, it was actually a Zoom call, asking me to serve with him on this ticket was probably one of the most memorable days of my life.
You dropped out before the first vote was cast.
Who came to the United States at the age of 19, gave birth to me at the age of 25 at Kaiser Hospital in Oakland, California.
And your dad is
And,
disappointed
she
in
thought
you
that I'd be sitting
because
here
he's
right
a
now.
Marxist.
I know would make her proud, and she must be looking down on this. Joe and I were raised in a very similar way. We were raised with values that are about hard work.
You were raised by a
valuing the
Marxist
dignity of public
professor, and he
about the
called you
importance of
out
fighting
about how,
for
like, I did
I
not
think
raise
Joe
you to
asked
be
me
this
to
way,
serve
to
with
be
him
a
because,
prosecutor, to
I
join
have
the
a career
system.
that
Like,
included being elected the
I
first
do
woman
not
district
approve of your
attorney in San
political
Francisco,
career.
where I created models of innovation for law enforcement in terms of reform of the criminal justice system.
That's why your dad doesn't like
the
your
first,
politics.
Woman of color and black woman to be elected Attorney General of the state of California, where I ran the second
And then
largest
you
Department of
arrested
Justice in the
truant
United
parents,
States,
and
second only to the United States Department
people
of Justice.
cried out against
From
it,
there,
and
I
you
took
stopped,
on
and you like to
everything from
pretend like,
transnational
oh, it never
criminal
happened.
organizations to the big banks that were taking advantage of homeowners. To
Why
for-profit
didn't you
colleges that were
prosecute
taking
Steve
advantage of
Mnuchin
that.
then, you
And
fucking
then, of course,
liar?
now I serve in the United States Senate as only the second black woman ever elected to the United States Senate. I serve on the Senate.
It's not just
Committee
about
on the
identity
regular
if you
receipt
suck
of
on
classified
everything.
information about threats to our nation and hotspots around the world. I've traveled the world.
I know
met
you're like
with our
strong
soldiers,
on
in
terrorism.
war
I
zones.
definitely trust
And
you.
I think Joe has asked me to serve with him because he knows that we share a purpose which is about lifting up the American people. And after the 4 years that we have seen of Donald Trump unifying our country around our common values and principles.
Thank you, Senator Harris. You know, neither President
We
Trump
have
nor
nothing
Vice
in
President
common.
Biden has released
We
this sort of
can't unite.
detailed
It's
health
either
information
we
that will
unite
become the
with
modern norm
racists,
until the 2016 election.
or
And in
we
recent days, President Trump's doctors
interrogate the entire
misleading
call and
answers or
realize these
refuse to
people
answer
are
basic
not
questions about his health. And my
anyone we should
question
be
to each of you
supporting.
in turn is
We
this
need to stand up
information
against racism
voters
and not unite with
deserve
it.
to know? Vice President Pence, would you like to go first?
It's
Well,
beyond the
listen,
pale.
thank
You
you.
do not have to
And,
empathize with
let
racists
me
and
say,
nationalists and shit like
on
that.
behalf of the President and the First Lady,
There is no uniting the
Move
country.
involvement.
It's gonna blow up before
by
we
the
unite.
outpouring of prayers and concern for the President. And I do believe it's emblematic of the prayers and the concern that have ushered forth for every American impacted by the coronavirus. But the care the President received at Walter Reed Hospital, the White House doctors, was exceptional. And the transparency that they practiced all along the way will continue. The American
His
people have
doctor
a
said that it
right
was
to know about the
wildly
well-being
irresponsible to
of the
go on this
president.
joyride and to
Will
leave the
continue to do
hospital.
that.
And Don
But
Jr.
I'm
was
just
like,
extremely
he's
grateful
crazy.
and was
Oh God, we need to have an
more than
intervention.
a little moved by the broad and bipartisan
He's just
support.
on
And,
steroids,
Senator, I want to thank you and Joe Biden, for
which
your
are giving him
expressions of
like a
support and
false
concern.
sense of
And
how
I
he's
also want to
doing.
congratulate
He can
you,
breathe, but as soon
I did
as
on that
it
phone call,
develops, the
on
steroids
the
won't be
historic
doing
nature
enough.
of your nomination.
Thank you.
And
I never
let me do
expected
the
to be
crab
on
rave.
this stage 4 years ago, so I
Da-
know the feeling.
da- da-
But,
the
reality is,
okay.
We've got an election before the American people in the midst of this challenging year, and the stakes have never been higher, but I
Thank you.
think the
Thank
choice
you, Vice
has never
President
been
Pence.
clearer.
I want to give Senator Harris a chance to respond to the same question I asked, which is, do voters have a right to know more detailed health information about presidential candidates and especially about presidents, especially when they're facing some kind of challenge?
And
Mandatory
that's why Joe Biden has
mental
been so incredibly
competency
transparent, and certainly by
tests.
contrast, the president has not, both in terms of health records, but also let's look at taxes. We now know because
Should
of
be
the
front page.
investigative
Both
services
candidates have to
that
draw a
Donald
clock.
Trump paid $750 in taxes. When I first heard about it, I literally said, "You mean $750,000?"
Deflecting.
And it was like, no,
She's deflecting.
$750. We now know Donald Trump owes and is in
The
debt
question was, do you
for
think
$400 million.
President's health
And just
information
so everyone
should be
is clear,
something
when we say in
voters
debt, it
deserve
means
to
you
know?
owe money to
And now you're
somebody.
talking about
It's
taxes!
really good to know
What is
who
wrong
the
with
President
you?
of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief,
Dunk on
owes
Trump
money
for
to,
not
because
being
the
sane.
American people
Talk
have
about
the
his
right to know
weird-ass tweets
what
over
is
the last couple
influencing
days.
the president's decisions, and is he making those decisions? in the
Don't
best interest of the
deflect. You
American
have
people,
such
of
good
you,
fodder to call
or
President
self-interest?
Trump,
So,
President
Susan, I'm
Trump
glad you asked
insane
about
right now.
transparency, because it has to be across the
Because
board.
you're
Joe
deflecting
has been incredibly
away from
transparent
Joe
over
from
many, many
being
years.
possibly
The
senile.
one thing
That's
we
what
all
you're
know
doing.
about Joe, he puts it all out there. He is honest, he is forthright, but Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been
Thank-
about covering up everything.
Thank you, Senator Harris. I want to give you a chance to respond, Vice President.
Well, look, I respect the fact that Joe Biden spent 47 years in public life. I respect your public service as well.
Thank you.
The American people have a president who's a businessman, who's a job creator, who's paid
He's a
tens
job
of
creator.
millions of dollars in taxes, payroll taxes, property
He's a job
taxes,
creator.
created tens of thousands of American jobs. And the president said
Created
those
so many
public
jobs.
reports are not accurate. And the president's also
Fake-
released
it's
literally
fake job
stacks of
reports.
financial
They
disclosures the
release
American
so
people
much
can
data.
review just as the law allows. But the distinction here is that Joe Biden, 47 years in public service, compared to President Donald Trump, who brought all of that experience 4 years ago
Thank you, Vice
and
President.
turned this economy around by cutting taxes, rolling back regulation,
Thank you,
unleashing
Vice
American
President.
energy,
He dropped the
fighting for
economy
free
by
and fair
400
trade,
points by
and all
saying
of that's
Thank you,
on the
Vice
line.
President.
he wasn't
Joe
going to
Biden
do a
and
stimulus, and then
Kamala
he
That's
changed
a
his
good
mind when he
segue
woke
into
up
our
after his
third
nap.
topic, which is about the economy. This has been another aspect of life for Americans that's been so affected by this coronavirus. We have a jobs crisis brewing. On Friday, we learned that the unemployment rate had declined to 7.9% in September, but the job growth had stalled, and that was before the latest round of layoffs and furloughs in the airline industry at Disney and elsewhere. Hundreds of thousands of discouraged
Disney
workers
World.
have stopped looking for work. Nearly 11 million jobs that existed at the beginning of the year haven't been replaced. Those hardest hit include Latinos, blacks, and women. Senator Harris, the Biden-Harris campaign has proposed new programs to boost the economy, and you would pay for that new spending by raising $4 trillion in taxes on wealthy individuals and corporations. Some economists warn that could curb entrepreneurial ventures that fuel growth and create jobs. With
Entrepreneurial
raising taxes,
ventures.
put the recovery at
So,
risk,
like,
and you have 2 minutes to
trust
answer
fund kids
uninterrupted.
that want to start like a
On the issue of the
frozen
economy,
yogurt
I think there's gonna be a
stand,
more fundamental
but it's
difference
got booze
between
in it,
Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
and they cost like
Joe
40
Biden
bucks.
believes you measure the health and the strength of America's economy based on the health and the strength of the American worker and the American family. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who measures the strength of the economy based on how rich people are doing, which is why he passed a tax bill benefiting the top 1% and the biggest corporations of America, leading to a $2 trillion
could have
deficit
so
that the
easily
American
gone
people
against
now
like people that own stocks
On
and
day
like
one,
talked about
Joe
how
Biden
most people don't
will
own
repeal
stocks.
that tax bill. He'll get rid of it. And what he'll do with the money is invest it in the American people. And through a plan that is about investing in infrastructure, something that Donald Trump said he would do. I remember hearing about some infrastructure week. I don't think it ever happened. But Joe Biden will do that. He'll invest in infrastructure. It's about upgrading our roads and bridges, but also investing
I
in
don't think she
clean
did her
energy and
research.
renewable
I'm pretty
energy.
sure Pence is
Joe
going to
is
pull
gonna
out a
invest
bunch of like
that money in what we
infrastructure
need to
shit.
do
You can
around
tell by his
innovation.
shit-eating
There was
grin
a
he
time
knows
when
what
our
to say
country
next.
believed in science and invested
He's
in
holding it
research
back.
and development so that we were an innovation leader on the globe. Joe Biden will use that money to invest in education. So, for example, for folks who want to
She
go
is
to a
getting
two-year
stomped
community
by
college, it
Mike
will be
Pence.
free.
Like,
If you
I
come
can't
from
believe
a family
this.
that makes less than $125,000, you'll go to a public university for free. And across the board,
Look at
they
him.
make
He's
sure
so
that
ready
if
to
you have
own her.
Student loan debt, it's cut by $10,000. That's how Joe Biden thinks about the economy, which is it's about investing in the people of our country as opposed to passing a tax bill, which had the benefit of letting American corporations go offshore to do their business.
Thank you,
You're
Senator
welcome.
Harris. Vice President Pence, your administration has been predicting a rapid and robust recovery. But the latest economic report suggests that's not happening. Should Americans be braced for an economic comeback that is going to
probably
take
getting
not
staggered
months,
by
but a
this
year or
question.
more?
Unless
You
he
have 2
pulls the
minutes to
same
answer
shit,
on
like,
your
I'm
own.
going to go by the back. Last
When President
question.
Trump and I took office, America had gone through the slowest economic recovery since the Great Depression.
Okay, he's going to
When
go
Joe
with
Biden
the
was vice president, he tried to tax,
State of the
spend,
Union
regulate, and bail our way back to a
line
growing economy.
that they have not
President Trump
dropped.
cut taxes across the board. Despite what Senator Harris says, the average American family of 4 had $2,000 in savings in taxes.
When you had the
And
State of the Union,
with the
that was
rise in
true,
wages that
but
occurred,
now it's not.
most
No,
predominantly for
no,
blue-collar,
you're
hardworking
losing
Americans.
using
The average
old
household income for a
statistics that
family
make
of 4
you look
increased by
good.
$4,000 following President Trump's tax cuts. But America, you just heard Senator Harris tell you, on day 1, Joe Biden's going to raise your taxes. It's really remarkable to think.
Oh no.
I mean, right after a time where we're going through a pandemic that lost 22 million
It's
jobs
dumb, but
overnight,
it's effective.
we've already added back 11.6 million jobs because we had a president who cut taxes, rolled back regulation, unleashed American energy, fought for free and fair trade, and secured $4 trillion from the Congress of the United States to give direct payments to families, save 50 million
Keep
jobs
doing
through
it
the
though.
Paycheck
Let's
Protection Program.
retroactively give
We
everybody
literally spared
$2,000
no
a
expense to help
month
the American people and the American
since the
worker
last
through this.
payment.
Joe
Come
Biden
on,
and Kamala
till the
Harris
end of the year.
want to raise
Let's keep
taxes.
going. Let's
They
get it
want to
rolling.
bury our economy under a $2 trillion Green New Deal, which you
Shut
were one
up,
of the original
Pence.
co-sponsors of in the United States Senate. They want to abolish fossil fuels and ban fracking, which would cost hundreds of thousands of American jobs all across the heartland.
And they would be
And Joe
replaced
Biden
by
wants to go
hundreds
back
of
to the
thousands
economic
of
surrender
solar
to China
energy
that When we
jobs.
took office, half of our international trade deficit was with China alone. And Joe Biden wants to repeal all of the tariffs that President Trump put into effect to fight for American jobs and American workers. Joe Biden says democracy's on the ballot. Make no mistake about it, Susan. The American economy, the American comeback is on the ballot with 4 more years of growth
Thank you.
and opportunity,
Thank you,
4
Vice
more years of President Donald Trump. 2021
Thank
is
you,
going to
Vice
be the
President
biggest
Pence.
economic year in the history of this country.
Thank you, Vice President Pence. Senator Harris.
Well, I mean, I thought we saw enough of it in last week's debate, but I think this is supposed to be a debate based on fact and truth. And the truth and the fact is, Joe Biden has been very clear. He will not raise taxes on anybody who makes less than $400,000
He said
a
he's going to
year.
repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Well, wait,
I'm speaking.
it'd be important if you said the truth.
Yeah, the Trump tax cuts that
Joe
only
Biden
cut
said twice
taxes
in
for the
debate
rich.
last week that he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. That was tax cuts that gave the average working family.
Oh no, I pay $5
$2,000
less in federal taxes.
Senator,
That is
that's the math.
absolutely not true. That
Is he
tax
only
bill-
You
is
could have
he only gonna
owned
repeal
him.
part of the Trump
If
tax
you
cuts?
came
you don't
prepared
mind
and
letting
knew
me
what the
finish,
Trump tax
we can
cuts
have a
were,
conversation, okay?
Please.
Okay.
you could have owned him.
Joe
She's
Biden
so
will not raise taxes
unprepared.
on anyone who
She's
makes less than
missing so
$400,000
many
a year. He has been very
opportunities.
clear about
Just
that.
own
Joe
his
Biden will not
ass.
end fracking. He has been very clear about that. Joe Biden is the one who, during the Great Recession, was responsible.
So
for
you're,
the
you're like
recovery
bragging about how
that
Joe
brought
Biden
America
won't ban
back. And now the
fracking.
Trump
Cool.
Pence administration wants to
Yeah,
take
but
credit.
let's just ignore scientists
when they
about how
when they rode the coattails
the
of Joe Biden's
leaks,
success
methane leaks,
for the economy that they had at the
negate
beginning of
any
their term.
climate
Of course, now the
benefit
economy is
for
a
fracking.
complete disaster. But Joe Biden, on the one hand, did that. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who has
I
reigned
need another
over
beer.
a recession that is being compared to the Great Depression. On the one hand, you have Joe Biden, who was responsible with President Barack Obama for the Affordable Care Act, which brought health care to over 20 million Americans and protected people with pre-existing conditions. And what it also did is it saved those families who otherwise were going bankrupt because of hospital bills they could not afford. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who's in court right now, trying to get rid of
Thank you, Senator.
trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which means that you will lose protections if you have pre-existing conditions. And this is very important, Susan.
Yes,
and it's
but we need
important
to give Vice
Oh,
President.
I'd
this-
just like to- he
She
interrupted
just
me,
walked
and I'd
into
like
it.
to-
He reaffirmed the whole like protecting
have a pre-existing
pre-existing
condition,
conditions.
Heart disease, diabetes, breast
He's
cancer,
just
they're
waiting to
coming
answer
you.
right now.
If you love someone who has a pre-existing condition,
Thank you,
they're
Senator
coming
Harris.
for you.
I mean, there's
If you are
no
under
way
the
to
age
get
of
rid of that
26 on your
without
parents'
massive
coverage,
riots.
They're coming for you.
Senator Harris, thank you.
You're
Let me
welcome.
give you a chance to respond.
Well, I hope we have a chance to talk about
President
healthcare,
Trump
because
just
Obamacare was a
reaffirmed
disaster. American people remember it
protections
well.
for
President
pre-existing
Trump and I have a
conditions.
plan to improve health care and to protect pre-existing conditions for every American. But look, Senator Harris, you're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. You yourself said on multiple occasions when you were running for president,
He's using
you would
logic,
ban
bro.
fracking. Joe Biden looked at a supporter in the eye and pointed and said, I guarantee that we will abolish fossil fuels. They have a $2 trillion version of the Green New Deal, Susan, that your newspaper, USA Today, said really wasn't that very different from the original Green New Deal. More taxes, more regulation, banning fracking, abolishing the fossil fuel, crushing American energy, and economic surrender to China is a prescription for economic decline.
Not in the
Trump
way you
and I
frame
will
it,
keep
but good.
America growing. The V-shaped recovery that's underway right now will continue with
The
4 more years of
perceived
President Donald Trump.
V-shaped
Thank you very, very
recovery
much, Vice
that will
President
end
Pence.
up
Once
in
again,
a
you've
depression.
provided the perfect segue to a new topic, which is climate change. And Vice President Pence, I'd
Oh,
like to
here we
pose a
go.
question to
Pence
you.
is going to be a dumb.
This
This
year
is
we've
when
seen
Pence is going to look
record-setting
like an
hurricanes
idiot.
in the south. Another one, Hurricane Delta, is now threatening the Gulf. And
Oh,
we
no,
have
he's
seen
gonna make-
record-setting wildfires in the West. Do you believe, as the scientific community has concluded, that man-made
He's going to
climate
bring up
change
Trump's
has made wildfires
response to
bigger,
the derecho.
hotter, and more deadly, and have
We
made
protected
hurricanes wetter,
corn
slower,
farmers, and
more
they were
damaging?
good.
You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Thank you, Susan. Well, first, I'm very proud of our record on the environment and on conservation. According to all of the best estimates, our air and land are cleaner than any time ever recorded.
Oh,
And
shut the
water is
fuck
among
up.
the
There
cleanest
it's
in
like,
the world.
it's
And just
a
few
couple of
while
weeks
ago, the
when
President signed the
California
Outdoors
air
Act,
was
the largest
not-
investment in our public lands and
not
public
healthy
parks
to breathe.
in 100 years. So President Trump has made a commitment to conservation.
Full of shit.
Now, with regard
Full
to
of
climate
fucking
change,
shit. You're
the
getting
climate is
owned.
changing. The issue is, what's the cause, and what do we do about it?
Oh,
President Trump has made it clear that we're going to.
so he's like, you know, climate change is happening,
Joe
but
Biden
we don't have to change
and Kamala
anything we're
Harris will
doing.
put us back in the Paris Climate Accord. They'd impose the Green New
The
Deal,
half-assed
which will crush
Paris
American
climate
energy, would
climate
increase
accord.
The energy costs of American
It's like, let's
families
do
and their
like
homes,
everything too
literally
late
would crush
in
American
2050.
jobs. And President Trump and I believe that the progress that we have made in a cleaner environment has been happening precisely because we have a strong free market economy. You know, what's
Lying.
remarkable is the United States
Lying.
has reduced
He's
CO2
full of shit. Kamala's gonna fuck
more
up the response,
than the
though. I
countries that are
guarantee
still
it.
in the Paris Climate Accord, but we've done it through innovation
Dude, it's
and we've
gish
done it through
galloping,
natural
and
gas
she's
and
just
fracking.
too
Which,
easily
Senator, the American people
confused by
can go
that
look at the
shit. She'll
record.
like
I
hyper
know
focus
Joe
on one
Biden
point,
says otherwise,
or
now,
just
as you
completely
do.
ignore all
But
his
the both of you
points.
repeatedly
It'll make it
committed
look like
to
she's
abolishing
wrong.
fossil fuel and banning fracking. And so by creating the kind of American innovation, we're actually steering toward a stronger and better
Stop
environment.
doing the fucking
With regard
smile
to
thing.
wildfires, President Trump and I believe
You're gonna
that forest
fail at
management
this.
has to be
You're
front and
so
center.
bad.
Governor Gavin Newsom from your state has agreed we've got to work on forest management. And with regard to hurricanes, the National Oceanic Administration tells us that actually as difficult as they are,
Thank you, Vice President.
there are no more hurricanes today than
Thank
there
you.
were 100 years ago.
Thank you.
But many of the climate alarmists
President
use
Pence,
But they're a
hurricanes
lot
and
stronger
wildfire
than they were
to try
100
and
years
save the
ago.
goods of a Green New Deal. And President Trump and I are going to always put
Thank you,
American
Vice
jobs and
President
American
Pence.
workers first.
Senator Harris, as the Vice President mentioned, you co-sponsored the Green New Deal in Congress. But Vice President Biden said in last
Because
week's
she
debate
knew it
that
wouldn't
he does not
pass.
support the Green New Deal. But if you look at the Biden-Harris campaign website, it describes the Green New Deal as a crucial framework. What exactly would be
Lying.
the stance of
Lying.
a Biden-Harris administration?
Biden
toward
said
the
we do
Green New
not
Deal?
support
You
a
have 2
Green New
minutes
Deal in the
uninterrupted.
last debate.
So first of all, I will repeat, and the American people know, that Joe Biden will not ban fracking. That is a fact. That is
Oh,
a
she
fact.
is just
I
stepping
will
on rakes.
repeat that Joe Biden has been very clear that he thinks about growing jobs, which is why he will not increase taxes for anyone who makes less than $400,000 a year. Joe Biden's economic plan, Moody's,
If they
which is a
win,
reputable
it'll
Wall
be
Street
against
firm,
all
has said will
odds.
create 7 million more jobs than Donald Trump's. And part of those jobs that will be created by Joe Biden are going to be about clean energy and renewable energy. Because you see, Joe understands that the west coast of our country is burning, including my home state of California. Joe sees what is happening on the Gulf states, which are being battered by storms. Joe has seen and talked with.
Then
the
why
farmers
are
in
you
Iowa
not
whose
banning
entire crops have been
an
destroyed
extraction
because of
method
floods?
that
And so
negates
Joe
any
believes,
climate
again, in
benefit
science. I'll tell
of
you
the
something,
fuel?
Susan. I served when I
It
first got
leaks
to
more
Senate on the
methane
committee that's
than you
responsible
save
for the environment. You know,
CO2
this administration
with burning natural
took
gas.
the word science off
It's
the
so
website,
deregulated
and then
that
took
it
the
is
phrase
negating
climate change
any
off the website.
any
We have
benefit
seen
by
a pattern with this administration, which is they
multiple
don't believe in
times over.
science. And Joe's plan is about saying we're
They're
going to
doing
deal
it
with it,
only
but we're
for
also gonna
money.
create jobs. Donald Trump, when asked about the wildfires in California, and the question was, you know, the science is telling us this. You know what Donald Trump said? Science doesn't know.
The science is saying ban
So,
fracking, you
let's
idiot.
talk about who is prepared to lead our country over the course of the next 4 years on what is an existential threat to us as human beings. Joe is about saying we're going to invest
That
in
is why
renewable
people
energy,
are
which will be
pissed
about
that
the
you're
creation
not
of millions
banning
of jobs.
fracking.
We will achieve
You fucking
net
sellouts.
zero emissions by 2050, carbon neutral by 2035.
By 2050,
Joe has
okay,
a
we're
plan.
all
This has been a lot of
30%
talk
of
from the Trump
humanity is gonna be
administration,
dead
and
by
really it has
then.
been to go backward
But
instead of
okay,
forward. We will
2050.
also re-enter the climate
That's great.
agreement with PREZ.
Let's vote for
Senator Harris
2050.
just said that climate change is an existential threat.
Fuck
Vice President,
both
please
these
that
people,
climate
you
change
pieces of
poses an
shit.
existential
Fuck you.
threat.
As I said, Susan, the climate is changing. We'll follow the science. But
Yeah,
once
right,
again,
you
Senator
motherfucker.
Harris,
you want to just die and go
is
to heaven.
denying
Just
the
say
fact
it.
That they're going to raise taxes.
Quit
on
lying.
every American. Joe Biden said.
Oh,
that
now
last
you're
week
making
in
about
Washington.
taxes. Yeah,
everyone
fuck
was
you,
going to
you
repeal
whitehead motherfucker, you piece of
Those
shit.
tax cuts delivered $2,000 in
I'm
tax
drunk.
relief
I'm
to
very
the
drunk.
average family of 4 across America. And with regard to banning fracking, I just recommend that people look at the record. You yourself said repeatedly that you would ban fracking. You were the first Senate co-sponsor of the Green New Deal.
I
And while
love
Joe
how
Biden denied the
hypocrisy
Green New Deal,
only
Susan,
affects
thank you for pointing
Democrats
out
and never
the Green New Deal is on
Republicans.
their campaign website. And as USA Today said, it's essentially the same plan as you co-sponsored with AOC when she submitted it in the Senate. And you just heard the senator say that she's going to resubmit America to the Paris Climate Accord. Look, the American people have always cherished our environment. We'll continue to cherish it. We've made great progress reducing CO2 emissions through American innovation and the development of natural gas through fracking. We
Oh,
don't
shut
need
the
a
fuck up,
massive
Pence.
$2 trillion Green New Deal that would impose all new mandates on American businesses and American families.
I don't know. You
Joe
want the
Biden wants us
20
to
trillion
retrofit
build
4 million
seawalls
private
around the
business
entire
buildings.
country deal?
It makes no sense. It will cost jobs. President Trump is
It'll
gonna put
build
America
jobs,
first.
you
He's gonna put
dumbass.
Jobs first, and we're going to take care
It's not
of
like
our
you just
environment
like
and follow
take
the
$2
science.
trillion and
Obvious as
swoop it
jobs.
out of
Let's
existence.
talk about that.
It's for building
the
shit.
vice president earlier referred to it as part
And
of
I don't
what
understand
he
how
does as an
Kamala
accomplishment.
cannot defeat this
The
argument.
president's trade
She's
war with
like
China.
so on
We
script
lost
that
trade
she
war. We
won't
lost it. What ended up
properly
happening
answer his
is
shit.
because of a
And
so-called trade war
Pence,
with China,
he has a script,
America
but he
lost
knows when to go
300,000
off of it.
manufacturing jobs.
And that's what the problem with
Farmers
Kamala is.
have
She's just
experienced
reading from a
bankruptcy
script, and
because
she
of
does
it.
not
We are
know
in a
how to
manufacturing
respond
recession
to
because of it.
Pence's like stupid
And when
cheap
we look
shots
at
that should
where
be
this
easy to
administration has
debunk.
been, there are estimates that by the end of the term of this administration, they will have lost more jobs than almost any other presidential administration. And the American people know what I'm talking about. You know. I think about 20-year-olds. You know, we have a 20-year-old, a 20-something-year-old, who are coming out of high school and college right now, and you're wondering, is there going to be
You
a
don't
job
know your
there for
kid's
me?
age?
We're looking at people who are trying to figure out how they're going to pay rent by the end of the month. Almost half of American renters are worried about whether they're going to be able to pay rent by the end of the month. This is where the economy is in America right now, and it is because of the catastrophe and the failure of leadership
Okay,
of
keep
this
going.
administration.
Keep
Thank you,
going.
Senator Harris. Vice President Pence, let me give you just 15
Oh,
seconds.
she
to
got
respond,
cut.
Because then I want to move on to
Well, I'd love to respond.
She
Look,
takes way too long to
lost
get to
the
a good point.
trade war with China. Joe Biden never fought it. Joe Biden has been a cheerleader for
And Mike
communist
Pence
China
is
over the last several decades.
he turns all of his
And-
arguments
and
into
again,
bumper stickers.
Senator Harris, you're entitled.
That's
to
why
your
he's so
opinion, you're not
effective
entitled
in
to
this
your own
debate.
facts.
And I
When
hate
Joe
it.
Biden was vice president, we lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs, and President Obama said they were never coming back. He said we needed a magic wand to bring them back. In our first 3 years after we cut taxes,
you, Vice
rolled back
President.
regulation, unleashed American energy, this administration saw 500,000
Thank you, Vice
manufacturing
President
jobs
Pence.
created. And that's exactly the kind of growth we're going to continue to see as we bring our nation through
Thank you, Vice
this
President
pandemic.
Pence.
But a Green New
Thank you,
Deal, your
Vice
massive
President
new
Pence.
mandates, your Paris Climate Accord, it's going to kill jobs this time, just like it killed jobs.
I'd like
Susan,
to-
I just need to
See,
respond very
he's
quickly.
completely
seconds.
ignoring
Thank you. Thank
the
you.
time limits.
Joe Biden is responsible for saving America's auto industry, and you voted against it. So let's set the record straight. Thank you.
I'd like to talk about
That is
China.
not a good
we have,
response.
as our next topic. We have
That's-
no more
that was just-
complicated or consequential foreign relationship than the one with China. It is a huge market for American agricultural goods. It's a potential partner in dealing with climate change in North Korea. And in a video tonight, President Trump again blamed it for the coronavirus, saying China will pay. Vice President Pence, how would you describe our fundamental relationship with China? Competitors, adversaries, enemies? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Susan. Well, before I leave that, let me speak to voting records if I can. You know, everybody knows that NAFTA cost literally thousands of American factories to close. We saw automotive jobs go south of the border. President Trump fought to renegotiate NAFTA. In the United States, Mexico, Canada,
Tangentially
Germany,
off
Canada,
topic.
American people deserve to know Senator Kamala Harris was one of only 10 members of the Senate to vote against the USMCA. It was a huge win for American auto workers. It was a huge win for American farmers, especially dairy.
That's probably a dud because not
But
enough
Senator,
people
you said it didn't go far
people
enough
know
on
what
climate change,
what the USMCA
that
is.
you put your radical environmental agenda ahead of American auto workers and ahead
He's
of
really
American
hammering on the Green
jobs.
New Deal.
The American people
I don't
deserve to
think
know
it's
that.
gonna
It's
work.
probably why Newsweek magazine said that Kamala Harris was the most liberal member of the United States Senate in 2019. More liberal than Bernie Sanders, more liberal than any of the others in the United States Senate. So now with regard to China,
More liberal than I mean,
Susan, first and foremost,
actually, never mind. Yeah, she's probably more liberal than
China
Bernie
is to
Sanders.
blame.
Bernie Sanders is more leftist than she is.
President Trump is not happy about it. He's made that very clear, made it clear again today. China and the World Health Organization did not play straight with the American people. They did not
Shut
let
the
our
fuck
personnel
up.
into China.
As soon as it
get
hits the
information on
US,
the
it's
coronavirus
your
until
problem
the middle
now.
of February. Fortunately, President Trump, in dealing with China from the outset
knew
of this
about it
administration,
in
standing up to
January.
China that had been taking advantage of America for decades in the wake of Joe Biden's cheerleading for China. President Trump made that decision before the end of January to suspend all travel from China. And again, the American people deserve to know Joe Biden opposed President Trump's decision to suspend all travel from China. He said it was hysterical. He said it
Thank you,
was
Vice President
xenophobic.
Pence.
But President Trump has
Vice President
stood
Pence,
up
your
to
time is
China.
up.
We're going to continue to stand strong.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
We want to improve the relationship, but we're
Why
going to level the
didn't
playing
you
field. We're going to
restrict
hold
travel
China
from
accountable for what
Italy?
they did to
No.
America with the coronavirus.
Thank you. Senator Harris, let me ask you the same question that I asked the Vice President. How would you describe our fundamental relationship with China? Are we competitors, adversaries, enemies? You'll have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Susan,
She
the
better tiptoe this
Trump
one.
administration's perspective and approach to China has resulted in the loss of American lives, American jobs, and America's standing. There's a weird obsession that President Trump has had with getting rid of whatever accomplishment was achieved by President Obama and Vice President Biden. For example,
I don't know if
they
this
created
charge is
within
going
the
to
White
work.
House an office that basically was responsible for monitoring pandemics. They got away, they got rid of it.
Not true.
There
She's getting off
was
topic
a
now.
team of disease experts that President Obama
actually, never
and
mind.
Vice
Never
President
mind.
Biden dispatched to
I'll
China
allow it.
to monitor what is now predictable and what might happen. They pulled them out. We now are looking at 210,000 Americans who have lost their lives. Let's look at the job situation. We mentioned before the trade deal, the trade war, they wanted to call it, with China. It resulted in the loss of over 300 manufacturing jobs and a manufacturing recession, and the American consumer paying thousands of dollars more for goods because of that failed war that they called it. Then let's talk about standing. Pew, a reputable research firm, has done an analysis that shows that leaders of all of our formerly allied countries have now decided that they hold in greater esteem and respect Xi Jinping, the head of the Chinese Communist Party, than they do Donald Trump, the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief of the United States. This is where we are today because of a failure of leadership by this administration.
Senator Harris, we've seen changes in the role of the United States in terms of global leadership over the past 4 years. And of course, times do change. What's your definition? We've seen strains with China, of course, as the Vice President mentioned. We've seen strains with our traditional allies in NATO and elsewhere. What is your definition of the role of American leadership in 2020?
So, you know, Joe is, I love talking with Joe about a lot of these issues. And, you know, Joe, I think he said it quite well. He says, you know, foreign policy, it might sound complicated, but really it's relationships. So just think about it as relationships. And so we know this in our personal and professional relationships. You got to keep your word to your friends.
So it's not
be
about
loyal
the
to your
people
friends.
that are
People
getting
stick
drone
with you,
striked.
gotta
It's
stand
about
with
your
them.
friends.
You got to
Like,
know who your adversaries
Mohammed
are.
bin Salman.
And keep them in check. But what we have seen with Donald Trump is that he has betrayed our friends.
Yeah, that's
and
not a good answer to that question.
And embraced dictators around the world. Let's take, for example,
It should not be
Russia.
about your personal
So,
relationships with
Russia-
world
I serve
leaders.
on the
It should be
Intelligence
about
Committee
what's
of the
going
United
on in
States
their
Senate.
countries.
America's
Not that we
intelligence
should be
community
interfering
told
with
us
other countries, but
Russia interfered in
it
the
should
election
not
of
be
the
like a
President of the United
personality
States in
shit. Like, that's
2016 and is
bad.
playing
That's
in
a bad
2020.
answer.
Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, said the same. But Donald Trump, the Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America, prefers to take the word of Vladimir Putin over the word of the American
Oh, God.
intelligence
She's
community.
going with the Russiagate shit.
You
Come
look
on.
at our friends at NATO.
Dud.
Who walked away from agreements. You can look at the Iran nuclear deal, which now has put us in a position
Okay, fair
where
enough.
we are less safe because they are building up
Keep
what
going.
might end up being a significant nuclear arsenal.
Oh,
We
fuck
were
you.
in that deal, guys. We were in the Iran nuclear deal with friends, with allies around the country. And because of Donald Trump's unilateral approach to foreign policy, coupled with his isolationism, he pulled us out and has made America less safe. So, Susan, it's about relationships. And the thing that has always been part of the strength of our nation, in addition to our great military, has been that we keep our word. But Donald Trump doesn't understand that because he doesn't understand what it means to be honest.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Vice President Pence, let me give you a chance to respond.
Well, thank you. Well, President Trump kept his word when we moved the American embassy to Jerusalem, the capital of the state of Israel. When Joe Biden was vice president, they promised to do that, and they never did. We've stood strong.
Because it's
with our
fucked up.
allies, but we've been demanding. NATO is now contributing more to our common defense than ever
Free
before.
Palestine.
Thanks to President Trump's leadership.
Free
We've strengthened
Palestine.
our alliances across the Asia-Pacific, and we've stood strong against those who would do us harm. You know, when President Trump came into office, ISIS had captured an area of the Middle East the size of Pennsylvania. But President Trump unleashed the American military.
Not Pennsylvania.
And our armed forces destroyed the ISIS caliphate and took down their leader al-Baghdadi without one
I think the
American casualty.
Kurds did a lot of that.
Al-Baghdadi
actually.
was responsible for the death of thousands. But notably, America's hearts today are with the family of Kayla Mueller, her parents of which are here with us tonight in Salt Lake City.
Oh.
Today, 2 of the ISIS killers responsible for Kayla Mueller's murder were brought to justice in the United States. Jihadi John was killed on the battlefield along with the other Beetle. The reality is that when Joe Biden was vice president, we had an opportunity to save Kayla Mueller. It breaks my heart to reflect on it, but the military came into the Oval Office, presented a plan. They said they knew where Kayla was. Baghdadi had held her for 18 months, abused her mercilessly before they killed her. But when Joe Biden was vice president, they hesitated for a month. And when armed forces finally went in, it was clear she'd been moved 2 days earlier. And her family says with a heart that broke the heart of every American that if President Donald Trump had been president, they believe Kayla would be alive today.
Thank you, Vice
Look, we
President.
destroyed the
Well, they're
ISIS caliphate.
dumbasses then.
And you talk about re-entering the Iran nuclear deal. I mean, the last administration transferred $1.8 billion to the
That
States
we
Fund
owed
Thank
to
you.
of
them
terrorism.
because
President Donald Trump
Reagan
got
did
us
the
out of it.
Iran-Contra
Qasem Soleimani
shit.
was traveling to Baghdad
They
Thank you,
to
Vice
do harm
President.
were
to
owed
America.
that money.
President Donald Trump took
Thank you,
him
Vice
out.
President Pence.
And America is safer, our allies are safer, and the American people know President Donald Trump will never
Thank you,
hesitate
Vice President
to take
Pence.
action.
I would like to give
Thank you.
Senator Harris a chance to respond, but not at such great length because, of course, there are other topics we want to talk about.
But I would like equal time.
Yes,
Thank you.
please go ahead.
Yeah, they're
First
just
of all,
like,
to the Mueller family.
yeah,
I
just
know
don't talk
about
as
your
much as
daughter's
he
case,
did.
And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. What happened to her is awful, and it should have never happened.
Oh,
And I know Joe
she's
feels the
accepting his framing.
And I know that President Obama feels the same way.
Fuck, I'm gonna get another beer.
But you mentioned Soleimani. Let's start there. So after the strike on Soleimani, there was a counter strike on our troops in Iraq. And they suffered serious brain injuries. And do you know what Donald Trump dismissed them as? Headaches. And this is about a pattern of Donald Trump's, where he has referred to our men who are serving in our military as suckers and losers. Donald Trump, who went to Arlington Cemetery and stood above the graves of our fallen heroes and said, what's in it for them? Because, of course, you know, he only thinks about what's in it for him. Let's take what he said about John McCain, a great American hero.
Shut up.
And Donald Trump says,
John McCain, American hero.
prisoner of war.
Football.
And this is very important when you want to talk about.
I mean,
who's
I'm
the
hoping
commander-in-chief
they
and
mention
what they care
football
about
at
and what they
least
don't
once.
care about.
Because I need to
Public
have a
reporting
football.
that Russia
moment.
had bounties on the heads of American soldiers. And you know what a bounty is?
I think that
Somebody
was
puts a
mostly
price on your
disproven.
head, and they will pay it if
Actually,
you are killed. And Donald Trump had talked at least 6 times to Vladimir Putin and never brought up the subject. Joe Biden would never do that.
Thank
Joe
you.
Biden would, but Joe Biden
oh my God,
would
I think she
hold
fell
Russia
for
to account for
some
any
a
threats
lib shit.
to our nation's security or to our troops who are sacrificing their lives for the sake of our democracy and our safety.
Thank you, Senator Harris. This is such an important issue, but we have other important issues as well. And
Susan,
I
have
want to make
respond
sure
to
we
that.
have a chance
I really have
talk
to
about.
respond to that.
I'm-
Look, she has
15 seconds because
Well, I gotta
we're
have
trying
more
to
than
keep.
that. Look.
Well, I'm sorry, but Vice President
Look,
Pence, you've
I-
had
Oh
more
no,
time than
she
said.
handed him an own.
Slanders against President Donald Trump regarding men and women of our armed forces are absurd.
I'm sorry, Vice
My
President
son is
Pence.
a captain in the United
Yes.
States Marine Corps. My son-in-law is deployed in the United States Navy. I can
Pence
assure
is
all
just
of you,
like, I don't
the
give a
sons
shit
and
about
daughters
time
serving in the
limits.
military. President Donald Trump not only respects but reveres all of those who serve in our armed forces, and any suggestion otherwise is ridiculous.
Thank you,
also
Vice
say
President Pence.
the
Vice
the
President
American
Pence,
people
you know,
deserve, Susan,
Vice
the
President
American
Pence,
people
I
deserve to
didn't,
know.
Vice President
that-
Pence, I did not, excuse me.
Susan, the
I
Oh,
did not
he's
agree
he's
to
gonna
the
power
rules.
through.
Joe Biden-
Oh my God!
Campaigns agreed to the rules.
Keep
for
going,
today
Pence.
with the
I want to
Commission on
see
Presidential
this.
Debates. I'm here to enforce them, which involves moving from one topic to another, giving roughly equal time to both of you,
Go right ahead.
which is what I'm trying very hard to do.
Go right ahead.
So I want to go ahead and move
Oh.
to the next topic, which is an important.
I'm pretty sure
as
he
the
got
last
like
topic was,
coached like
and that is
just
the
do what
Supreme
what Trump does and just keeps
On Monday,
going.
the
But
Senate Judiciary
Pence is
Committee
too much
scheduled
of
to
a
open
coward
hearings
to
on
actually
Amy Coney
go
Barrett's
through with it.
nomination to the Supreme Court. Senator Harris, you'll be there as a member of the committee. Her confirmation would cement the court's conservative majority and make it likely open to more abortion restrictions, even to overturning the landmark Roe v. Wade
Oh,
ruling.
he's gonna
Access
pretend
to
cry
abortion
about
would then be
abortions.
up to the states.
Here we go. This
Vice
is my
President Pence,
prediction.
you're the former governor of Indiana. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, what would you want Indiana to do? Would you want your home state to ban all abortions? You have 2 minutes, uninterrupted.
Well, thank you for the question, but I'll use a little bit of my time to respond to that very important issue before.
Oh
The
shit!
American people deserve to know Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian general, was responsible for the death of hundreds of American service members.
Prove it!
When the opportunity came, we saw him headed to Baghdad to kill more Americans.
And you
President
almost started
didn't
a
hesitate.
war.
And Qasem Soleimani is gone.
Iran actually
deserve to know that Joe
de-escalated, which kind of
And
blows
Kamala
up your
Harris actually
Iran is
criticized the
insane
decision to take out
narrative.
Qasem Soleimani. It's really inexplicable, but with regard to Joe Biden, it's explainable. Because history records that Joe Biden actually opposed the raid against Osama bin Laden.
This is actually a
absolutely essential
genius tactic.
That we have a commander
Like, just like say
who will
fuck
not
the
hesitate to
rules.
act to protect American lives and to protect American service members, and that's what you have in President Donald
Kamal's
Trump.
getting steamrolled.
Now, with
Oh
regard
god.
to the Supreme
She
Court of
does
the
not
United
look good.
States, let me say President Trump and I could not be more enthusiastic about the opportunity to see Judge Amy Coney Barrett become Justice Amy Coney Barrett. And she's a brilliant woman, and she will bring a lifetime of experience and a sizable American family to the Supreme Court of the United States. And our hope is, and here
A
next
sizable
week, unlike
American
Justice
family.
Kavanaugh received with treatment from you and others, but we hope she gets a fair hearing.
Kavanaugh's a
And we particularly hope that we don't see the kind of attacks on her Christian faith that we saw before. I mean, the Democrat chairman of the Judiciary Committee before, when Judge Barrett was being confirmed for the Court of Appeals, expressed concern that the dogma of her faith lived loudly in her. Dick Durbin of Illinois said that it was a concern.
separation
Senator, I know
of
one our
church and
judicial nominees
state.
You actually attacked because they were a member of the Catholic Knights of Columbus, just because the Knights of Columbus holds pro-life views and
Thank you,
pro-marriage views.
thank you, Vice President
So
Pence. Your
my
time
hope
is
is
up.
that when the hearing
So
takes
if
place, that,
Thank you, Vice
Somebody
President
that's
that Judge Amy Coney Barrett
is
will
a
be
member of
respected,
Thank you, Vice
pro-life
President
group
Pence.
voted and confirmed
is
as the
being
Supreme Court.
a
Senator Harris,
Supreme
you're
Court
the senator
justice.
from
They're
and
not
former Attorney General of
neutral
California. So let me
anymore.
ask you a
Do you
parallel
understand
question
that,
to the one I
Mr.
posed to
Pence?
The Vice President. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, what would you want California to do? Would you want your home state to enact no restrictions on access to abortion? And you have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Thank you, Susan. First of all, Joe Biden and I are both people of faith, and it's insulting to suggest that we would
How
not
dare
give
you,
in to their
sir?
faith. And in fact, Joe, if elected, will be only the second practicing Catholic.
This
as
is
President
not
of the
a.
United
This
States.
is not a good path
On
to
the
go
issue
down.
of this,
Come on,
of this nomination,
this is bad.
Joe and
Stop.
I are very clear, as are the majority of the American people. We are 27 days before the decision about who will be the next president of the United States. And, you know, before, when this conversation has come up, you know, it's been about election year or election time. We're literally in an election. Over 4 million people have voted. People are in the process of voting right now. And so Joe has been very clear, as the American people are. Let the American people fill that seat in the White House, and then we'll fill that seat on the United States Supreme Court. And to your point, Susan, the issues before us couldn't be more serious. There's the issue of choice, and I will always fight for a woman's right to make
I
a decision
hate
about
the
her
way
own
she
body.
speaks.
It
It's
should be
so
her decision
bad.
and not that of Donald Trump and the Vice President, Michael Pence. But let's also look at what else is before the court. It's the Affordable Care Act. Like, literally in the midst of a public health pandemic,
She's so
when
fake.
over 210,000 people have died and 7 million people probably have what will be in the future considered a pre-existing condition because you contracted
Zero
the
emotion in
virus.
her eyes.
Donald Trump is in court right now trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. And I said it before, and it bears repeating. This means that there will be no more protections, if they win, for people with pre-existing conditions. This means that over 20 million people will lose your coverage. It means that if you're under the age of 26, you can't stay on your parents' coverage anymore. And here's the thing. The contrast couldn't be more clear. They're trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act.
He's trying to
Joe
do
Biden's saying,
the
"Let's
whole like
expand
Trump,
coverage.
Trump
Let's give you a
like.
choice of a public
Thank you,
option or
Senator.
private coverage. Let's bring down premiums.
Thank you, Senator
Let's
Harris.
lower Medicare eligibility to 60.
Thank you, Senator.
That's true
Harris.
leadership.
You know, you mentioned
To 60?
earlier,
That's
Vice
true
President Trump,
leadership.
that
Shut the
president was
fuck up.
committed
Medicare
to
for all or
maintaining
nothing.
Protections for people with
Fuck
pre-existing
you.
conditions.
Kamala.
But you do have this court case that you are supporting, your administration supporting, that
And
would
also,
strike down
fuck you,
the Affordable
Mike
Care.
Pence.
The President Trump says that he's going to protect people with pre-existing conditions, but he has not explained how he would do that. And that was one of the toughest nuts to crack when they were passing the Affordable Care Act. So tell us specifically, how would your administration protect Americans with pre-existing conditions to have access to affordable insurance
He's getting
if
wet.
the Affordable Care Act is struck down?
WAP,
Well,
wet
thank you,
ass
Susan,
Pence.
but let me just say, addressing your very first question, I couldn't be more proud to serve as vice president to a president who stands without apology for the sanctity of human life.
Oh god.
I'm pro-life.
Here he goes.
I don't
He's gonna
apologize.
cry about fetuses.
And this is another one of those cases where there's such a dramatic contrast. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris support taxpayer funding of abortion all the way up to the moment of birth. Late-term abortion. They want to increase funding to Planned
Please
Parenthood
cry about
of America.
fetuses.
Now, for our
Please.
part, I would never presume how Judge Amy Coney Barrett would rule on the Supreme Court of the United States, but we'll continue to stand strong for the right to life. When you speak about the Supreme Court, though, I think the American people really deserve an answer, Senator Harris. Are you and Joe Biden going to pack the court if Judge Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed? I mean, there have been
Please
29
say yes.
vacancies. on the
Please
Supreme
say
Court in the
yes.
presidential election years from
Do
George
it.
Washington to
Say
Barack
yes.
Obama.
You're
Presidents
damn right we
nominated in
will.
All 29 cases. But your party is actually openly advocating adding seats to the
If
Supreme Court,
I were in
which
your
has had
position,
9
I'd be like,
seats for
you're damn right
150
we will.
years.
After
If
you
don't get your way,
packing
this
all
is a
the
classic
state
case of
courts,
if you can't win
it's
for the
only
rules,
fair.
You're going to change the rules.
We're gonna
You
pack the
refuse to
Supreme
answer the
Court.
question. Joe Biden has refused to answer the question. So I think the American people would really like to know if Judge Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed to the Supreme Court of the United States.
Say
Are
it,
you and
Kamala.
Joe Biden, if
I
somehow you
will.
win this election,
This is the moment.
pack the Supreme Court to get
This
your
is
way?
the moment where I
I'm
might
so glad we
vote
went
for
through a
Joe
little
Biden.
history lesson. Let's do that a little more.
No, it's not off
In
to a good start.
Well, I'd like you to
No.
answer the
Mr.
question.
Yes,
Vice President, I'm
please.
speaking.
Oh shit, she's deflecting. Fuck you.
In 1864, one of the, I think,
This is so
political heroes,
stupid.
certainly of the president, I assume if you also, Mr. Vice President, is Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was up for
This is
re-election.
so fucking
And it was
stupid.
27
What the
days
fuck?
Before the election.
What are you
And the
doing?
seat became open on the United States Supreme Court. Abraham Lincoln's
This
party
is the
was in
worst
charge, not only of the
deflection
White House,
ever.
but
It's the
Senate.
most obvious. It's like
But Honest Abe,
you're asking me
Okay.
about a
Not
specific
the right
direct
thing to do.
question.
The
Here's
American people
a story
deserve
about
to make a
Abraham
decision
Lincoln.
about who will be the next president of the United States. And then that person can select who will serve for a lifetime on the highest court of our land. And so
This
Joe and I
is
are very clear. The American people are
stupid.
voting right now. And it should be their decision about who will serve on this most important body
I hate it.
for a lifetime.
Thank you,
And the
Senator
American
Harris.
people, Susan, are voting right now. They'd like to know if you and Joe Biden are going to pack the Supreme Court If you don't get
Answer
your
the
own
question.
information-
It looks bad if you don't.
Once
Come on,
again, gave a non-answer. Joe Biden
Answer
gave a
the
non-answer.
question,
Now,
for
people just
fuck's
give a straight
sake.
answer.
At least say
If you
no.
figured it out,
Come
the
on.
answer is they are
Fuck.
going to pack the Supreme Court. If they
Joe
somehow-
Biden already said he wouldn't do it.
I gotta tell
Answer
you,
the
people
question.
think
Say
if you
no.
cherish our Supreme Court, if you cherish the separation of powers,
You
if
idiot. You
respect
fucking
the
moron.
come November the 3rd.
Fucking
re-elect
stupid
President
Kamala.
Trump,
You're
stand
so
by that separation of
stupid.
powers in 9 seats.
Fuck.
Yeah, let's talk about packing the court then. Let's talk about the
Please.
fact. Yeah, I'm about to. So, the Trump-Pence administration has been, because I sit on the Senate Judiciary Committee, Susan, as you mentioned, and I've witnessed the appointments for lifetime appointments to the federal courts, district courts, courts of appeal. People who are purely ideological, people who have been reviewed by
Joe
legal
Biden
professional organizations,
said he would not pack the courts. You are being ambiguous to
And
try
do
to,
you know
in a
that of
desperate
the
attempt to
50
draw in left-wing people.
who President
And you're
Trump
not going to answer the
appointed
question.
the
You're going to,
Court of
like,
Appeals for
ramble
lifetime
on until you run out
not
of
one
time.
back. This
Prove
is
me
what
wrong.
they've been doing. You want to talk about packing a court? Let's have that discussion.
All right, thank you.
Oh,
Thank you, Senator. Let's
come
go
on
and
with
talk
her
about
fucking
issues
classic.
of
Let's
racial
have that
justice.
discussion.
want the record reflected
That's her,
that
like, I do not want to answer that question.
Maybe the next debate,
Pence is
Joe
right.
Biden will answer the question.
She's
But I
not
think-
answering. Her, let's have that discussion. She has used that, like, at least 4 times. It's the most goddamn annoying thing in the world.
After police officers executing a search warrant in a narcotics investigation broke into her apartment.
Let's go.
The police said they identified themselves. Taylor's boyfriend said he didn't hear them.
Let's
speak.
see how weak ass,
The gun registered to
weak
him,
sauce
fire shot,
Kamala's
which wounded an
solution
officer.
to Breonna
The
Taylor
officers then
is.
fired more than 20 rounds into the apartment. They say they were acting in self-defense. None of them have been indicted in connection with her death. Senator Harris, in the case of Breonna Taylor, was justice done? You have 2 minutes.
I don't believe so, and I've talked with Brianna's.
Oh, I
mom,
don't
Nikki
believe
Obama,
so.
and her
Definitely
family.
not is probably the best
Family
answer.
deserves justice. She was a beautiful young woman.
Oh, she was
She
so
had as her
beautiful.
life goal to become a nurse, and she wanted to become an EMT to first learn what's going on.
How about you talk about charging the fucking
Could be
cop that just got bailed out
Save
because
lives.
for killing her?
And her life was taken unjustifiably.
Oh,
and
never mind.
tragically
That
by-
was George Floyd.
And it
I
just-
can't
it
keep I
brings
can't
me
keep
to-
track anymore.
you know, the 8 minutes and 46 seconds that America witnessed, during which an American man was tortured and killed under the knee of an armed, uniformed police officer. And people around our country of every race,
You're also a
of
police
every
officer.
age, of every gender, perfect strangers to each other.
Oh,
Marched.
real
Told
nice for you to
themselves
talk
arm in
about
arm.
for every gender,
Fighting.
Miss. Let me put
for us to
trans
finally
women
achieve
in
that
men's
ideal of
prisons.
equal justice under law. And I was a part of those peaceful protests.
Shut the fuck up,
And I
Miss
believe strongly
kneeling cop.
that, first of all, we are never going to condone violence, but we always must fight for the values that we hold dear, including the fight to achieve our ideals. And that's why Joe Biden and I have said on this subject, look, and I'm a former career prosecutor. I know what I'm talking about. Bad cops are bad for good cops. We need reform of our policing in America and our criminal justice system.
They
Which is why
were
Joe and I will
founded
immediately
as
ban chokeholds,
slave
carotid
patrols.
George Floyd
Abolish the
today
police,
did that.
restart
We
the
will require a
entire
national registry
law
for police
enforcement
officers who break the
system.
law. We will, on the issue of criminal justice reform, get rid of private prisons and cash bail, and
Thank
we
you.
will
I'll believe it when I
decriminalize
see it.
marijuana, And
Thank
we
you,
will
Senator Harris.
we will expunge the records of those
Yo,
who
Thank
have
you,
been
Senator
convicted
Harris.
of marijuana. This
Oh
is
yeah,
time
yeah,
for
yeah.
leadership.
I know you
Tragic,
love
tragic
marijuana.
issue
Senator Harris,
of
your time
unarmed
is up.
black people in America who
Thank
have
you,
been killed.
Senator Harris.
You've never
Vice President Pence, let me pose
persecuted
the same
people who are
question to
smoking
you.
marijuana.
In the case of
I don't
Breonna
want
Taylor,
Kamala.
was justice done? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Well, our heart breaks for the loss of any innocent
Oh,
American life.
deflection. Here we
And
go.
Breonna Taylor has our sympathies. But I trust our justice system.
But so many
grand
more
jury refused
people
the
have died.
And it really is remarkable
just
that
one
as a former
person.
prosecutor, you would assume that an impaneled grand jury looking at all the evidence got it wrong. But
Yes!
Senator, I think, look, and with regard to George Floyd, there's no excuse for what happened to George Floyd. Justice will be served. But there's also no excuse for the rioting. and
Derek
looting.
Chauvin just got released on bail.
I mean, it really is astonishing. Flora Westbrook is with us here tonight in Salt Lake City. Just a few weeks ago, I stood at what used to be her salon. It was burned to the ground by rioters and looters.
Shut the
And
fuck
Flora
up,
is
dude.
still trying to put her life back together. And I must tell you, this presumption that you hear consistently
I have
from Joe
one
Biden
example of a place being burned down.
that America is systemically racist. And that, as Joe Biden said, that he believes that law enforcement has an implicit bias against
Yes, they
minorities
fucking do.
is a great insult.
Yes, it is, because they're horrible. They deserve the great insult.
Every day. And President Trump and I stand with you. And it is remarkable that,
Fuck
that
you.
when Senator Tim Scott tried to pass the police
ASMR,
reform
fuck
bill,
you.
brought
Fuck
together a group
you.
of Republicans
Fuck.
and Democrats, Senator Harris,
Fuck you in the face.
you got up and walked out of the room. And then you filibustered Senator Tim Scott's bill on the Senate floor that would have provided new accountability, new resources. But we don't have to choose between supporting law enforcement, improving public safety, and supporting our African American
Thank you,
neighbors
Vice
and
President.
all of our minorities. Under President Trump's leadership,
Thank you,
we'll
Vice
always
President. Shut up.
stand with law enforcement, and we'll do.
Okay,
what we
he's
can
he's
to
flat.
Thank you.
He fucked up on this one.
African Americans,
Thank you, Vice
record
President
unemployment, record
Vice
investments in
President Pence, your time
education,
is
and we'll
up.
fight for school
Shut up.
choice for all of our members.
Thank you, Vice
I'd like to respond.
Senator Harris.
I will not sit here and be lectured by the Vice President on what it means to enforce the laws of our country. I am the only one on this stage who has personally prosecuted everything from child sexual assault to homicide. I'm the only one on this stage who has prosecuted the big banks for taking advantage of America's homeowners. I'm the only one on this stage who prosecuted for-profit colleges for taking advantage of our veterans. And the reality of this is that we are talking about an election in 27 days, where last week the President of the United States took a debate stage in front of 70 million Americans and refused to condemn white supremacists.
Oh,
And
get his ass.
It wasn't like he
I
didn't
mean,
have a
I don't
chance.
trust Kamala to
He
follow
didn't do
through
it,
on
and
this,
then he doubled
honestly.
down. And then he
But
said,
it should
when
be
pressed,
so easy. Come on,
stand back,
follow through.
stand by.
Come on,
And
keep
This is
going.
a part of a pattern of Donald Trump's. He called Mexicans rapists and criminals.
Oh
instituted
no,
as his first
she's
act
not
Muslim
pushing
ban
pushing
on the
the
issue of Charlottesville,
no.
where people were peacefully protesting
She's
the
doing
need
it the
for
wrong
racial
way.
justice,
Fuck.
where a young woman was killed, and on the other side there were neo-Nazis carrying tiki torches, shouting racial epithets,
He's
anti-Semitic.
gonna be like, we disavow those
slurs.
people.
And
Donald Trump
when asked about it,
Does
said,
not
there
support
were
those
fine
people.
on both sides. This is who we have as the President of the United States. And America, you deserve better. Joe Biden will be a president who brings our country together
Senator Harris.
and recognizes the beauty in our diversity and the fact that we
Senator
all
Harris,
have
thank
so
you.
much more in common than what separates us.
Vice President Pence, let me give you a minute to respond.
Thank you, Susan. I appreciate that very much. You know, I think this is one of the things that
like-
makes people dislike the media so much in this country, Susan, is that you selectively edit, just like Senator Harris did, comments that President Trump and I and others.
I feel like
alongside me on.
he read some book that told
Senator
him to
Harris
like
conveniently
repeat
omitted
people's
that
names
after
to
the president
them.
made
Like,
comments about
thank you,
people
Susan.
on either side
I'm very
of
glad
the
you
debate
let
over
me talk,
monuments.
Susan.
He condemned the KKK, neo-Nazis, and white supremacists, and has done so.
I
repeatedly.
disavow. I
You're
disavow.
concerned
That's what
he
he's
doesn't
talking about.
Condemn neo-Nazis.
It's like,
President
Donald
is
Trump,
Jewish
do you
national.
disavow the KKK? I
His parents
disavow.
are
I
Jewish.
disavow.
This is a president who respects and cherishes all of the American people. But you talk about having personally prosecuted. I'm glad you brought up your record, Senator.
Thank you.
But I really need to make this point. When you were DA in San Francisco, when you left office, African Americans were 19 times more likely to be prosecuted for minor drug offenses than whites and Hispanics.
Oh, he's right.
When you were Attorney General of California, you
Vice President.
increased the disproportionate incarceration of
That's
blacks
why
in
Kamala
California.
Harris was
You
a
did
bad
nothing
choice.
on criminal justice reform in California. You didn't lift a finger to
you.
pass the First Step Back on Capitol Hill.
Oh, she's
the
so
reality is
nervous.
your
Look at that
presidency-
nervous smile.
President
She's
Trump
like,
and I have fought for criminal justice reform.
Thank you, Vice President
We fought for
Pence.
educational choice and opportunities for African Americans, all of our
Thank you,
minorities.
sir.
And we'll do it for 4 more
Thank you.
years.
You know, there is no more important issue than the final issue that we're going to talk about tonight, and that is the issue of the election
But
itself.
Susan, he attacked my record. I would like an opportunity to respond.
Let me give you 30 seconds because we're running out of
I
time.
appreciate that.
she's gonna get
First
cut
of all,
off.
Having served as the Attorney General of the state of California,
Mike
the
Pence
work
is like,
that I did is a
like
model of what
not
our nation needs to do,
not following
and
the
we will be able
rules
to
of
do
time
under
will
a
make
Joe
him
Biden
win this
presidency.
debate.
Our
He did actually
Our
way
agenda
better, even though he
includes
said
what this
nothing but
administration has failed to
complete
do.
bullshit.
It will be about not only instituting a ban on chokeholds and carotid holes.
Thank you.
Not only,
Thank you, Senator
I would
Harris.
like to go
Chokeholds
These
are
points that
already
we're doing in the
illegal.
hour, and I want to talk about the election itself before we have to.
But I want to talk about the connection between what Joe and I will do.
Oh,
and my
she's
record, which
floundering.
includes,
This is
I
not
was
good.
the first statewide officer to institute a requirement that my agents would wear body cameras and keep them on full time. We were the first to initiate a requirement that there would be a training for law enforcement on implicit bias because, yes, Joe Biden and I recognize that implicit bias does exist, Mr. Vice President, contrary to what you may believe. We did the work of instituting reforms that were about investing in reentry. This is the work that we have done and the work we will do going forward. And again, I will not be lectured by the Vice President on our record of what we have done in terms of law enforcement and keeping our communities safe and a commitment to reforming the criminal justice system of America.
Thank you, Senator Harris. And I'd like to pose the
Ugh.
first.
That was a
I'd like
bad
you
way to
respond
end
first
that.
to the question on our final topic, the election itself. President Trump has several times refused to commit himself to a peaceful transfer of power after the election. If your ticket wins and President Trump refuses to accept a peaceful transfer of power, what steps would you
Let's
and
see what's
Vice
going
President
on.
Biden then take? What would happen next? You have 2 minutes.
So I'll tell you, Joe and I are, I think, particularly proud of the coalition that we've built around our campaign. We probably have one of the broadest coalitions of folks that you've ever seen in a presidential race. Of course, we have the support of Democrats, but also independents and Republicans. In fact, 7 members of President George W. Bush's cabinet are supporting our ticket.
That's not
We
good.
have the support of Colin Powell, Cindy McCain, John Kasich,
Why are you bragging about those
over
people?
500
No.
generals, retired generals, and former national security experts.
John
and advisors
Kasich?
are supporting our campaign.
Oh.
I believe they are doing that because they know that Joe Biden has a deep, deep-seated commitment to
That's
fight
not
for
a good sign.
and to fight for the integrity
Just say he's not
of our
Trump.
democracy and to bring integrity back to the White House. And so we believe in the American people. We believe in our democracy. And here's what I'd like to say to everybody. Vote. Please vote. Vote early.
Vote!
Come up with a plan to vote. Go to iwillvote.com. You can also go to joebiden.com. We have it within
Go
our
to
power
Joe.
in these next 27
3-0.
days to
3.
make the decision
3-0.
about what will be
And
the
join
course
me
of
in
our
this
country
fight.
for the next 4 years. And it is within our power, and if we use our vote and we use our voice, we will win. And we will not let anyone subvert our democracy with what Donald Trump has been doing, as he did on the debate stage last week, when again in front of 70 million people, he openly attempted to suppress the vote. Joe Biden, on the other hand, on that same debate stage, because clearly Donald Trump doesn't think he can run on a record because it's a failed record, Joe Biden on that stage said, hey, just please vote. So I'll repeat what Joe said. Please vote.
Thank you, Senator. Vice President Pence, President Trump has several times
Please
refused to
clap.
commit himself to a peaceful transfer of power after the election. If Vice President Biden is declared the winner and President Trump refuses to accept a peaceful transfer of power, what would be your role and responsibility as Vice President? What would you personally do? You have 2 minutes.
Well, Susan, first and foremost, I think we're going to win this election. Because while Joe Biden and Kamala Harris
Avoiding the question.
The establishment in Washington, D.C., an establishment that Joe Biden's been a part of for 47 years, President Donald Trump has launched a movement of everyday Americans from every walk of life. And I have every confidence that those same Americans that delivered that historic victory in 2016, they see this president's record where we rebuild our military, we revive our economy, tax
multi-trillion-dollar
fighting for fair
military
trade,
that
unleashing
costs
We appointed
51
conservatives to our
cents
federal
of
courts
out of
every
every
year.
$1 in
and we
tax
stood
money.
with the men and women of law
That
enforcement
military.
today. And I think that movement
We gotta
of
rebuild
Americans
it.
has only grown stronger in the last 4 years. But when you talk about accepting the outcome of the election, I must tell you, Senator, your party has spent the last 3.5 years trying to overturn the results of the last election. It's amazing.
They did
Joe
a
Biden, Vice
half-ass,
President of the United States,
a
they
half-ass
actually spied on
impeachment that was
President Trump
destined
and
to
Mike
fail.
Pompeo. I mean, there were documents released this week that the CIA actually made a referral to the FBI documenting that those allegations were coming from the Hillary Clinton campaign. And of course, we've all seen the avalanche, what you
Somewhat
put the country
true,
through
but also
for the better part of 3
real
years.
life true.
Until it was found that there was no obstruction, no collusion, case closed. And then, Senator Harris, you and your colleagues...
Not that there was no
Congress
collusion, it was like there was not enough collusion on the behalf of
phone call.
Trump himself.
And now Hillary Clinton has
to
actually said to Joe Biden
indict
that, in
him.
her words, under no circumstances should he concede the election. So let me just say, I think we're going to win this election. President Trump and I are fighting every day in courthouses to prevent Joe Biden and Kamala
Not if
Harris
he
from changing the
dies.
rules
I
to
mean,
create
if
this
he
universal mail-in voting that'll create a massive
dyes his
opportunity for
hair.
fraud.
If he
We have
turned
a
his
free and
hair
fair election.
red,
Well,
he
we know
would
we
be
have confidence in it.
considered a
I
ginger
believe in all my
and
heart that
have
President
no
Trump is
soul
gonna be
and be
elected.
disqualified from being
You know,
the president.
I've written all the questions that I've asked tonight, but for the final question of the debate, I'd like to read a question that someone else wrote. The Utah Debate Commission asked students in the state to write essays about what they would like to ask you. And I want to close tonight's debate with the question posed by Brecklin Brown. She's an 8th grader at Springville Junior High in Springville, Utah. And here's what she wrote. Quote,
I wonder what Mike
When I
Pence is
watched the
writing on
news,
that pad.
all I
I
see
guarantee
is
he's
arguing
just doing
between
it for
Democrats and
effect.
Republicans.
And he's
When I
just
watch
drawing
the news,
scribbles.
all I see is citizen fighting against citizen. When I watch the news, all I see are two candidates from opposing parties trying to tear each other down. If our leaders can't get along, how are the citizens supposed to get along? And then she added, your examples could make all the difference to bring us together, end quote. So to each of you in turn, I'd like you to take
Kids are
and
dumb.
respond to Brecklin. Vice President Pence, you have 1 minute.
Brecklin, it's a wonderful question. And let me just commend you for taking an interest in public life. I started
It's a
following the news when I was very young.
right-leaning question.
And in America, we believe in a free and open
Why
exchange
can't
of
we
ideas.
just accept each
celebrate
other's
that.
ideas?
It's how we've created
It's
literally
like sometimes you
the freest and
can
most
you can
prosperous
like put
nation in the history of
immigrants
the world.
in concentration camps and like remove
would
their
tell you,
uteruses.
Don't
But on
assume
the
that
other
what you see
side,
in-
sometimes they
on
can get
the local
citizenship.
news networks.
Why can't we
It's
just
synonymous
get
with the American
along?
people. You know, I look at the relationship between Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the late justice who we just lost from the Supreme Court,
Ruth Gator
and the late Justice
Ginsburg.
Antonin Scalia. They were on polar opposites on the Supreme Court of the United States. One very liberal, one very conservative. But what's been learned since her passing was the two of them and their families.
She really hated indigenous
I mean, here in
sovereignty,
America,
though.
we can disagree. We can debate vigorously, as Senator Harris and I have on this stage tonight. But when the debate is over, we come together as Americans. And that's what people do in big cities and small towns all across this country. So I just want to encourage you, Brooklyn. I want to tell you that
Not me.
we're going to work every day to have government as good as our people, and the American people each and every day. Love a good debate. We love a good argument, but we always come together and are always there for one another.
Thank you.
In times of need. We've especially learned that
Thank you,
through
Mr.
the
Vice President.
difficulties of this year.
Senator Harris, what would you say to Brecklin?
I know
First of
multiple
all,
conservatives that I would
I'd love
in the
to
air
hear from our
tonight.
young leaders. And
if you
when
know what I
hear
mean.
her words, when I hear your words, Brecklin, I know our future is bright because it is that
On
perspective
Kamala
on
Harris.
who we are and who we should be.
And I think we
that
need
is
to
a sign
do
of
the
leadership
thing.
and is something we should all aspire to.
And it's really
and
nice
that,
that we
brings me
do
to
the
Joe.
thing.
Joe
I
Biden.
don't know. Joe Biden.
One of the
is
reasons that
going
Joe
to
decided
do
to
it.
run for president is after Charlottesville, which we talked about earlier. It so troubled him and upset him like it did all of us that
Did
there
it
was
really?
that kind of hate and division. What propelled Joe to run for president was to see that over the course of the last 4 years, what Brecklin described has been happening. Joe has a long-standing reputation of working across the aisle and working in
That's
a
not a
bipartisan
good
way.
thing, especially
And
now
that's
right
what he's going to do as
now.
president.
No,
Joe Biden
don't
has
do
a
that.
history of lifting people up and fighting for their dignity. You mean you have to know Joe's story to know that Joe has known pain,
3
he's known
million.
suffering.
Oh god, here
and he has known
she
love.
goes like
And
everyone
so,
Joe Biden
Brecklin,
loves
when you
is
think
dead.
about the future, I
He
do
knows
believe
pain.
the future is bright,
Why are we still
and it will be
here?
because of your leadership,
Just
and
to
it will
suffer.
be because we fight for each person's voice through their vote, and we get engaged in this election because you
Every
have the
night.
ability through your work and
I
through
dream about Obama.
eventually your vote
Thank you,
to
Senator
determine
Harris.
the future of our country and what its leadership looks like.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Thank you, Vice President Pence. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. We want to thank also the University of Utah for its hospitality, and most of all, our thanks to all the Americans who watched this debate tonight.
America.
Again, our best wishes for a quick recovery to President Trump, the First Lady, and everyone who is battling COVID-19. The second presidential debate is next week on October 15th.
Or is
a town
it?
hall style debate in Miami. We hope you'll join us then. Good evening.
Good evening. Sunday evening. Anyway, let's just watch the crab rave. Fuck you, Kamala. Fuck you, Mike Pence. Let's just... crab rave. Crab rave. There we go. You know what? I'm going offline. Bye bye. I did the thing. I watched it. Bye bye. Bye.